Hello, Leo. Welcome to your summer 2025 reading. My name is NiJiLL, and you have found Alchemy. For these readings, we're just going to do 2 months, so it should be a fairly quick reading this time. And we'll revert back to our 3-month fall reading in September. But here we have July and August. We will re-pull these cards and build an entire reading around it in July. So right now we're just sort of skimming the surface of anything important that might go on. Okay, here is your overview, your overarching cards for the entire summer. So let's start here. You do have full moon in Cancer. A personal issue reaches its resolution. So there may be something that you consider a personal issue, and it's going to finally be resolved one way or the other here, Scorpio. I meant to say Leo. Maybe you're dealing with a Scorpio. But also, it pays to note that the full moon in Cancer for 2025 was in January, so something may have occurred in January and sort of is still lingering. There may be for some of you something that happened at that time, but either way, a personal issue will reach a resolution this summer. You also have the sun, which is beautiful for Leos here. This is obviously your power card here, Leo. And it's happiness, right? It's all the things. It's happiness, clarity. It's comfortable energy for you. It's stepping into your power this summer. At some point, you do have number 16, I am perceptive. It says you have an inquisitive mind that allows you to uncover important truths. You have a special ability to read into others people's feelings, a wisdom seeker, and your angels ask to share your knowledge for the benefit of others. It does say I am perceptive. The number 16 might mean something to you here this summer. But there is something that perhaps was confusing. There could be, especially with this resolution card, there could be something that was very confusing that sort of becomes clear, because when we add 6 and 1 together, we get 7, and that is the card of Neptune, or that is the planet Neptune, and that is a very confusing planet, right? And so it could be a situation like that. You do have the world, and this, hold on a second. This sort of drives this point home. A personal issue reaches a resolution, and the world does give you that, a resolution to something, completing a cycle, moving on to something else. It says fulfillment, harmony, and completion. For sure, this is definitely, this is Jupiter energy. It is also fixed energy, like yourself, right? Leo, Aquarius, Scorpio, Taurus energy. You do have here fairy magic. It says respectfully work with the fairies to achieve your goals. And this is number 13. And this is funny. This is number 13 as well. So obviously the number 13 is going to mean something for at least one of you out there. But with fairy magic, yes, it could be quite literal. You could be the type of person that works with fairies. There is fairy magic. People do pay homage to them. But, in general, when we choose fairy magic for a general reading, it is a higher power, right? It could be God, could be the angels, could be the law of attraction, it could be your higher self. But there is something beyond you in the present moment, right? And you are using this power, or at least tapping into this power to help. Maybe you've prayed, maybe you've cast a spell, maybe you have asked the universe for a manifestation. However it is you look at that, you have help that is sort of interwoven in this situation here, Leo. All right, let's look at your July. You have guarded vulnerability. So you may be feeling a little bit guarded in July. Let's find out why. You have prudence. And, this is interesting. This is the alternate card. This deck is massive. I don't know if you watched me shuffle the cards, but it's like 3 tarot decks in one. Aside from being large in size, it's just large in volume. And this is the card of prudence, and it is the alternate card for the Hanged Man. And that is very Neptune energy in this deck. It's not Pisces specifically, but in this deck, it is just Neptune water energy. And this card resides between strength, which is your card, and temperance, which is a fellow fire sign Sagittarius's card, right? So it's in between those two cards. And prudence obviously denotes being careful, treading lightly, trying to avoid a risk. And whether you consider the Bible an actual religious artifact or just Christian mythology, it does pay to note that in the Gospel of Matthew, prudence is a quality attributed to snakes, and we have the snake depicted very clearly on this card. And the snakes are a mirror that allows us to see different perspectives. Different perspectives. Different perspectives. You are going to look at things. You're going to try to exercise prudence in a matter. Okay? The two heads here are symbols of the past and the future. And if you look at that, one is looking in one direction and the other is looking in the other, and you may be torn between two different things, something from your past or looking towards your future as something new and different. Yeah, prudence is considering both before any decision is made. What you look at what has happened and what may happen. In other words, this is an evaluation of the possibilities of everything. Here you have the Four of Pentacles, and the Four of Pentacles is Saturn and Capricorn energy, and it is financial security, right? For sure, it's financial security, but in general, this is keeping what you consider yours. It's holding on to something very tightly. You have here the Four of Swords, and the Four of Swords is Jupiter in Libra, and it is rest, it's recuperation. It could be internal reflection, and with this prudence card, it really does make sense. Reflecting on something before acting, gathering strength. And what did we say? This was in between strength and temperance. Temperance is generally a card of patience and healing, and strength is Leo, right? It's displaying strength in some way. So here you are in the middle trying to exercise prudence. And you have here the Knight of Wands. And the Knight of Wands is Jupiter in Sagittarius energy. And it is bold action, right? A desire for change, a desire for adventure. Could be a high sex drive as well. It is leadership. It's embracing something fully. Just saying, this is what I want. I'm embracing it, right? What's interesting, well, I don't want to get to what's interesting yet, all right? One thing that's interesting is that you do have here Temperance, and it's the card we just spoke on, right? Temperance is the card of Sagittarius. It is, yes, patience, prudence, trying to be balanced, fair on a matter. Blending opposing opposites to create harmony. You're trying to stabilize something or someone. Perhaps it's a personal issue that needed resolution. You do have here the Seven of Swords coming in reverse. Now, the Seven of Swords is Mercury in Gemini energy. Something, now this could go either way. You could uncover something that was very, very sneaky that comes to light, definitely comes to light. It could also mean, because Seven of Swords could also mean strategy, right? And in reverse, it could mean that a plan that you devised to perhaps seek fairness, seek pace, equilibrium, and healing didn't work. Something didn't work the way you envisioned it would work. And here, what's interesting is you have the Knight of Wands again, except in reverse, right? And it is that same sort of Jupiter and Sagittarius energy, but with both of these cards represented in the same month, right? You may have thoughts that oppose each other, right? You could on one day say, I'm doing this is what I'm doing, this is how I feel. And then at the end of the day say, you know what, I can't do that. Prudence. You are exercising prudence. It could be also harsh words exchanged between you and someone else about a decision that is being made. But either way, you're feeling vulnerable and you are feeling guarded. And this is just in July. So I can't wait to expand on this reading to see what else is happening, or perhaps go into this situation a little bit more. But here we go. Let's move on to August. Now, this is actually quite fascinating, okay? This is another alternate card. So you have chosen two alternate cards, and they were truly in the upright, and which means that your life is taking an alternate route from what you may have envisioned it long ago. Looking at the past and looking at the future. Maybe in the past you envisioned one thing, and looking towards the future, you see a different future for yourself. You're trying to come to grips with that, right? But this, I mean, at first glance, this card represents time. To put simply, that's the name of the card, time. And this is an alternate card for the Hermit, which is Mercury. And even in this deck, it's Mercury, Virgo, Earth energy. But now, at first glance, it looks like Satan, right? Or it looks like a fallen angel. And when you really look at it, it's even more disturbing because it looks like he's eating a child, right? So I'm like, so I had to really do some research on this image. And while the image itself, and I'll show you here on the screen, while the image itself doesn't come up on reverse image search or anything like that, the idea of what this is does, because as you can see on his head, there is a an inscription, and what that is like from far away it looked like a human, right? But when you zoom in on it, it is the symbol of Saturn, except it's reversed, which is odd. But so what I've come to the conclusion of is this is a alternate image of a painting called Saturn devouring his children. And here is the original painting, but it's the same thing, except the artist in this deck actually drew upon that energy. Now, you know, it is Greek mythology, and what it is to prevent a prophecy from coming true. And I'm going to summarize that one of his children would overthrow him one day. You know, to prevent that prophecy from materializing, he decides to devour all his children. And the only child, the mother hides one child from him, and that child survives and turns out to be Zeus, right? But aside from that, it is an interpretation of a parent that is all consuming. Could be. It could also, because the name of this card is time, right? It is also a depiction of time consuming all things, right? A conflict between old age and youth, backwards and forwards, a conflict between somebody older and someone younger, or maybe you're registering time as important suddenly. You're like, all right, I'm at a crossroads. I'm at crossroads energy, right? Could be. It could be an allegory for the destruction of some sort of power in your life, a ruler. Time may be on your mind, right? Very interesting. And, you know, if you get a chance here, Leo, explain to me how this pertains to you. But very fascinating. I found that very, very fascinating. So here you have the moon, and the moon comes in upright, very, very clear. And there's nothing clear about the moon. There may be something that's hidden here. There may be an undertone of something that is hidden or unclear. Yeah, because the moon is very Neptunian, confusing energy. You do have the Queen of Swords, right? And the Queen of Swords is Saturn and Libra energy. And it is a well-balanced, fair person, right? And this could be you, whether you're male or female, a direct communicator, somebody who faces uncomfortable realities. There is something you're facing here in August, and it's not comfortable, but it's definitely, you're strong enough to do it. It's someone with a very strong intuitive side, clarity, decisiveness, focus. You do have the Knight of Cups coming in. Well, originally it came in reverse. And while I don't take these larger cards in reverse, I take note of them. And the Knight of Cups in reverse is Venus and Pisces energy, right? It's upright and it's reverse here. And it's sort of like you maybe should be wary of an offer that seems like it's one thing, but it's actually something else, right? It also could be a reconsideration of something, that you once thought, a reconsideration of something that used to be important, or that seeing something from a brand new light, right? Definitely. You have here messages, dreams, and you could be having some wild dreams for sure. But when I get the messages card, it is like this card, getting messages from your higher source, whatever you consider your higher source. You're going to be very intuitive in August, and you're going to suddenly know things. You're going to be like, well, that used to be unclear, or maybe that's unclear at the beginning of the month. But you start to see something. You start to see a pattern with someone around you, or perhaps a cycle in your life, especially with the world. There is something coming to an end. There is a shot of clarity coming into your life. There is a new perception being born this summer. You do have the 10 of Pentacles, which is an amazing card, right? This is Mercury in Virgo. Long-term success. This is the start of a new cycle of long-term success, rooted stability, things that last, things that have staying power. You have the Four of Swords in reverse. And this is the second time this came out, right? You have the Four of Swords, where is it? Over here. And over here, the Four of Swords was upright. And we said that that was you being contemplative, exercising prudence. But I have to tell you, by the time the end of August comes, you're like, no, I'm jumping into action now. Definitely. Because look at the final card here. The following and final card is the card, another card of Leo. You have strength. And stepping into your this month, you're going to be stepping into your full power as a Leo, overcoming obstacles, true strength, true strength. Beautiful reading, absolutely lovely. And I have to tell you, want to hear something odd? When you add up all the numbers in this reading and you break it down, you get the number 8. And guess what planet that represents? Saturn again. So with this Saturnian, you feel free to, do your research on this painting if it inspires you to do so, like it did me. But it's Capricorn, Aquarius energy, yes, but it's lessons, it's karma, and it is directly tied to this symbol, whatever that symbol is, whether the symbol is apparent or whether that symbol is just time that's moving forward, that you're making decisions based on, hey, it's time, I'm at a crossroads. Could be all of the things. But I can't wait to repull these cards and really get a clear perspective on it as the months go by. I wish you nothing but the best. Don't forget your birthday reading will be coming out soon, Leo. So click subscribe so you can get a notification about it when it does. I wish you nothing but the best. Namaste.